In the last video, we installed this entire 30 amp wired system right here, but I didn't want to just leave this entire build series right in the middle without us actually doing a solar system. So one of my friends actually down in New Jersey is currently installing a solar system. So we're gonna head down there and actually leave the Ivan build and go help him out so we can all see how the solar system that I will be installing in the future will look, and just give you some ideas if you're currently in a build project. So for the first time in a long time, I have to get all of my tools together, get all my extra wire over here, and actually pack it up in Rachel's Jeep so that we can head out on the road. It is so much fun to just kind of go out and see other people's projects, other people's builds, and just investigate what they're doing and how they're doing it. This is gonna be exciting. All right, quite a long drive down here to New Jersey, but I'm actually back to an area where I grew up. I'm about 5 miles from where my parents are actually at, and I'm here with my friend Blake. We've met way back in high school, middle school, but he's been building out this bus for him and his wife, so we're just starting to mock up all of the electrical, get it kind of laid out, and I'll show you what we're gonna be doing inside of the bus once we get an idea of what parts are here, just kind of going through all the inventory, and then we'll show you guys the bus and what he's working on. So I have the solar stuff laid out over there on the table. So we're gonna, hopefully that's gonna be pretty much what it's gonna look like. But coming inside of the school bus, Blake did a roof raise. He's a bit taller than me too, so it makes sense.
I'd be able to stand in here.
Yeah, I could definitely stand in here. I mean, I could touch the ceiling barely, but he's like got a little bit more height than me. But we're gonna be putting the solar system right here by the wheel well. So we're just gonna be boxing out the wheel well quick so that we can kind of set up the space. And then we can figure out how we want to get it mounted and then kind of get this in there. We probably won't be able to finish the entire system at this point, just because we don't actually have the wires run or anything like that. If me and Blake can just simply get the main system in just to get him farther ahead down the road, that's really the goal, but we'll see what we can actually get done. We've got 2 days, see what happens. Wheel well is complete. Blake just got the top cap on and we screwed it down. So what I just got is some framing strapping up against the wall. And what that's gonna do is I wanna recess where we're gonna actually mount all the electrical so we can run wires behind the wall. Obviously Blake doesn't have too much necessarily installed or built yet. So he's kinda, we're kinda working ahead a little bit from where he maybe will be in the future, because he's still gonna be building out closets. The bed's gonna be going right here, the kitchen's up in the front, so none of the electrical is really run, so we're gonna be mocking it up right here so that he has somewhere to bring it all to. But now that we have about a 1-inch, offset, we're gonna get some plywood, put a cap on, and then that's what we are gonna mount all of our electrical to inside the school bus. We got our backboard all kind of laid out. We got things mocked up, kind of screwed in place, but we might be moving a couple things, so this might not be what it looks like when it's all done. But what we tried to do is we got our distribution over here, where we've got our 120, our 12-volt battery protect. We've got our inverter right here. Our 30 amp input is going right here. And then we got our fuses, our main on and off from the batteries. We got our solar MPPT on off over here. And then right here is where the wheel well will be, and the batteries are gonna sit right in this location. So we kind of building it out here in the garage, and then we can bring it and just drop it right into the actual bus. But you know, now that we got it kind of laid out, we've got all of our parts ready right here, got all my tools ready right here. So at this point, we just got to start, you know, putting it together, wiring. And Blake got all of his batteries right here, getting these guys all put in. So when I was just saying the MPPT is gonna go right here, the batteries go right there. So we'll get those guys strapped in, wired together. And then all we gotta do is bring those wires into the board we're wiring, and it's just plug and play at that point. Just put them where they're supposed to go. Cross your fingers, Bob's your uncle. Batteries are in place, and at this point what we want to start doing is I want to start up on the solar panels and then work our way down. We're not going to be mounting the solar panels. Blake's going to do that on another day, but we're actually going to start with the combiner box and then work our day. We're going to keep working today. We're going to work our way down from the roof into the MPPT controller and then start running the system from there. We're going to be heading up on the roof, getting this guy installed, all sealed up, and then we can head back into the bus or into the garage and then keep moving on with the rest of the system. We just got all the cable management done over to the solar panels. He's gonna put the solar panels on by himself in probably a couple weeks, but at least we got everything run down to the combiner box, and then we took our wire down, which will eventually get plugged into our MPPT controller. So now that the roof system's done, we can now go inside and start working on all that in there and get it all tied together. So, but this is looking great. One thing about the wire that we used on the roof, I have some extra actually in my box right here. So these are the two wires that we were using. We have a 2-2 wire, which is the red and black, and then this one, which is our solar wire. It's a 10-2 wire, but this outside gray sheeting is a UV protection. So if you're gonna be putting wires on your roof, I've made the mistake before. Make sure you're using UV protected wiring. Otherwise, the plastics and the insulators are just gonna crack and destroy themselves in the UV light on your roof. So don't make the mistake I did a long time ago. Make sure you're buying the correct wiring so that it's actually gonna be protected from the elements. Now that we got the wires from the roof down, eventually they're gonna be going to this MPPT right here. Before that, we've got our on-off, and then we've got our breaker going to the battery. So pretty much you've watched us install the solar part to the system, and then eventually we'll get on over to the inverter distribution part, and then the batteries, which are already in the bus, but that go right here. Well, we've been working on getting this inverter kind of put together with our incoming from the battery, and now I'm pretty much just wiring over to our 120 panel. But I just have to say, I know Will from the #1 bus, he's probably watching this video, and Will, I know you're gonna agree with me. These multi-pluses that have come out in the last few years, these things are such a game changer for me. This isn't a pitch. If you're interested, you can go check out the Victron multi-pluses. But this unit is a charger, transfer switch, and inverter. And back in the day when I was originally wiring my bus Navi, this didn't really exist. So we had to individually wire a transfer switch, individually wire a charger, and then individually wire the inverter, which just made a heck of a lot more connections. And at this point, Blake was just helping me with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I got to run a temperature sensor and it's done, which is just, I mean, literally 40-minute install versus what I used to do, which was way longer. So this has been definitely a big game changer for me in terms of just getting these systems put together quicker. And also it's all pre-programmed, and it's just, you know, does it all for you, and you don't really have to think about it. But I'm just about to get this 120 panel put in. Blake's gonna get some other wires tied up on the backside, and then we're gonna move on to some other parts of the system. But, you know, it's starting to look like something. A little bit of a mess, but starting to look like something. Down here, all put back together. What Blake is working on is he's moving over our MPPT over here because we want to shift it just a little bit to get it positioned better. And then I'm going to be right here working on the DC system. So we got our smart battery protect here, goes into our DC panel. I just got to put some breakers in, and then all of this will be done. And then we got our DC section completed. And I think we're actually pretty close to taking this unit and actually putting it into the school bus and seeing how it's going to fit, what it's going to look like. And then we can kind of start getting those final wires put together. So we're going to get started on this. Blake's working over there. Let's see what we end up with. We just went through all the schematics and determined that I think at this point we have all of the wires we need, pre-wired, we'll say. Now what we're gonna do is take that entire box, carry it into the bus, and then it's gonna be placed right in this location. And then what we're gonna do is start then actually plugging them into the actual battery system. We ran the solar wire yesterday, of course, so now we can get the solar wire in, get that plugged into the MPPT controller, and then he's still gonna have to finish hooking up the actual 30 amp because he's gotta drill a hole in the side of the bus in the next few weeks and that kind of stuff, but we can still actually test out a good bit of the system. So hopefully we're gonna get it in here, it's gonna fit perfectly, fit nice, and then we can kind of start testing through, finish wiring, and we're gonna have a bit of a working system here. But look at this bus. We're gonna have to get Blake to give us a tour. Hey Blake.
Yo.
You think you could give us a tour of your bus in a little bit? Just like the concept tour, you know?
Yeah, give you the general concept of what it's gonna hopefully look like.
It will, I know it will. That actually fit better than we both thought. I'm happy it fit, but it's better than I thought. Might actually be a good time to get into that tour that I was just talking about, because this is all sitting here, but it's kind of hard to see exactly what this is gonna turn into. So Blake, are you up to it?
Heck yeah.
You think you could give us a little tour? We'll move the water tank into its position.
Throw it off a little bit.
Yeah, here.
All right, so this is gonna be my wife's seat right here. It's just currently not here because the guy who was selling to me didn't call me back yet, so waiting on him. It's gonna turn around. She'll have a desk here, do all of her work. And we'll have some countertop space on this side, followed by a big couch over here. And then over here, we're gonna have the stove, sink, some upper cabinets. And this is actually gonna be in a pantry and a little bit of like a shoe rack, coat room. And then the fridge is actually gonna go up here. This whole thing's gonna get bumped down. And I know it's a little backwards, but the way it worked, so we're going with it. As you walk down here, this is going to be the hallway over top of the bed. We have the fresh water tank underneath the bed, the batteries over there. And once you get to the back, this will be the first wall. I'm trying to leave the whole thing open so visually it looks open. This wall will come down here, and then we'll have our shower and our toilet. And then this will be the closet, hold all of our clothes. And then I do have a little bit of storage underneath, as well as 4-foot extension off the back of the bus that is just not put on yet, but it's made up. So that's it.
And then what kind of bus is this? Or like length?
International DT360, 1994, the 3800 series, and I don't actually know the full length. I know from the back of my seat to the back of the bus is 30 feet.
And you did a roof raise on this.
We did a roof raise,
how big is the roof raise?
So right now with the roof rack and the solar and anything that sticks off the top, I think we're 11'4", but I raised it up a whole foot. So it's comfortable, you can walk in here now. I got 2 fans and potentially maybe the AC unit eventually, but for right now, it's just gonna be fans.
And in terms of the roof raise, I am currently standing on top of the wheel well, and I still got more room than I do in Ivan. So it's a pretty nice roof raise, definitely have some room. Blake did do the roof raise himself with
Chase.
Yeah, Chase, a friend of ours. Yeah, congratulations. Brother-in-law now. And he's actually a welder, so they did the roof raise themselves. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely got some space in here. In terms of the solar cabinet right here, part of it, you can see the lines on the floor. From this line this way is the bed, but from this line to this line is actually the closet. So all of his distribution right here is actually gonna be accessible through this cabinet. All of this spacing, which will be less accessible, also he'll access it less, is from the top of the bed, so he'll have to move the mattress and then lift the bed up to get underneath there. But we do have to obviously install this before everything's built, just because of the timeline when I was down here, when I could help him, and when he got the components in. But this is pretty much, you know, gonna eventually be tucked away in everything that he just explained. We're gonna get this thing screwed in now, get it all finalized, and should see what we could test out and make sure it all works. Got all of the positives run over to the most positive terminal on the battery over there. So all of the red wires are pretty much done. So what now we're starting to work on is getting all of our negatives run to the batteries and then over to our smart shunt, which is right here. So we're gonna get everything run down to the smart shunt to get all of our negatives run. And then the system's gonna be all wired together and we can test through what is currently working and making sure that everything is good to go. So we're gonna get these terminals on, get through the negatives, and get moving. All the negatives are now connected into the system. So the next step on what we're gonna be doing is going through everything, making sure that all of the connections and bolts are tight so we don't have any loose connections. Then I'm gonna mock up the BMV and the inverter remote so that we can actually test through the systems. Because I've been saying multiple times that Blake's still gonna have to do some work on this to kind of get it obviously built into the closet, get some of the wires run out. So we can only test and do so much. But the brains and main components are like 90% done. So that's what we're gonna start doing is testing through. Starting to see some lights come on. Well, lights on the actual monitors. We have no puck lights or anything in, so we'll have to find something to test. We just tested through the entire system and everything's working. We've got the inverter on. We just tested out 120 volts. We got our smart battery protect. All of our DC loads are showing 13.7 from the batteries. And then we got our smart shunt right here, which I just tested on the Victron app. And that guy's working, so we're showing all of our negatives are being pulled here. We're watching our monitors. The only thing that I want to do is actually get this MPPT controller to turn on. So we're going to wire up one panel on the roof so that at least I can show him how the app works, and I can also confirm before I leave that everything's working properly. But for right now, he's got the basic brains of the operation set. Now what he's gonna have to do in the future is be plugging in all of his DC loads when he gets them wired, his 120 loads right here, and then those will then go out into the school bus to actually give him power. For me, I know that there's power here, I know that there's power here, so he'll be good for the future. But let's head up onto the roof, get that solar panel put on, and then we can test out that MPPT. Well, we couldn't actually test out the MPPT controller because there's no sun, and I'm not gonna you know, jerry-rig the wiring into it. We're just gonna let it sit. Blake's gonna actually call me tomorrow so we can test through and make sure it's all working, and I will program it then. But this is
everything else is done, baby.
yeah, this is done. Now you just gotta, he's gonna have to wire in the 30 amp, the alternator connection and things like that, which are gonna get input into the system. But we do have, you know, the main brains of the system. So Blake, you're almost on the road.
Dude, I'm stoked.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need the rest of this built. You can just hit the road. Just you got power.
Throw in the mattress.
Yeah, throw in the mattress and get going. Call the wife and you're good to go.
We're out of here.
Yeah, you think she's down for that?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I've known him and his wife for a long time. Well, him and his now wife, they weren't together when I first met him. But both of them are travelers. Both of them are like, they're gonna be so much fun on the road. If anyone meets Blake and Candy on the road, you're gonna be,
say hi.
yeah, you're gonna be in for a good time. So Blake, thanks for inviting me over.
Yeah.
Let me hang out and
Thanks for
you know,
helping
film this
out.
for everyone. And
Couldn't have done it without him. Would have been lost. Would have been here for 2 weeks.
sorry once again for everyone that we didn't put a solar system in Ivan just yet, but I did promise you a solar video and you got one. So really fun timing on this. If you guys are interested, make sure you can check out the description. All of the links for the different products that are here are down there if you want to check out any more resources on for your own solar system. If you want to check out any more build videos, make sure you check them out over here. And thanks as always to everyone over on Patreon for supporting the channel. But now that this system's in, we're gonna head on back north to Ivan and get back on the build. So I'll see you next time.